So we want to give our
condolences.
Because he's not. He's still alive. He's still alive. We want to make sure that we give our support and we show our solidarity with Jacob Blake.
Jacob Blake.
Because he was shot 7 times by police. We are going to call our legal expert, Kim Elizabeth, the president of the NLG. She was on our episode of Protest and Chill, so she's going to help us navigate that. We're also going to talk about the murderer, Kyle Rittenhouse, the 17-year-old that shot 2 people dead at the protest for Jacob Blake.
Yep.
And shot another person, injuring them, which I believe what I was reading is that he lost his arm. So
he's not a hero.
Yeah, he lost his bicep.
He's not a vigilante. He's a murderer.
Period.
A murderer.
So
with assistance.
With assistance
Moms.
from the moms.
From the moms.
And some other people. So we're gonna give her a call because, like we told you guys before in episode 1, we like having experts on the show, so that way we get a more in-depth view or opinion on what is going on. So give us 1 second. We're gonna give her a call.
And they can't blame us for misinformation.
Nah, not at all. Ring, 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 ring. Are you trying to be like
This is Elizabeth.
Hey, Elizabeth. This is G_Focus from the Reverb Experiment podcast.
Hello.
Oh, hey.
I know that you're a lawyer, so we're in California, so I have to ask for consent to make sure that we're recording your voice.
Because consent is very important, guys.
Very
Very important.
I consent.
Okay, thank you. We got to make sure we get that out of the way. We don't want you suing us.
We got a whole bunch
I
of that
sent my
consent.
e-signature.
Nice. Hey, you answer your phone. This
Via
is Elizabeth.
teleconference.
You answer your phone. This is Elizabeth all the time.
Name drop.
Let me verify that I'm not a robot.
Checking the capture.
How many street signs do y'all see? Yeah. So.
All right, so we would love to be speaking to you under better circumstances, but obviously we're not in good circumstances right now with the shooting of Jacob Blake and the Kyle Rittenhouse situation that's going on right now. So we wanted to get you on the phone because you were so paramount in our Protest and Chill episode, and you gave us a lot of good information.
Mm-hmm.
So can you help us kind of navigate through what is going on with Jacob Blake first, and then we'll get to Kyle Rittenhouse?
Yeah, so, I mean, I'm sure many people, it's marked as about over 9 million people have viewed the videotape on just one attorney's platform already regarding the Jacob Blake shooting. And it's unclear at this time whether he's being charged, but as we saw outrageously this past week that he was handcuffed to his bed in his Milwaukee hospital. And as of today, they are saying that handcuff has been removed. But before we get into the emotions of it, I think that there's definitely a call to action surrounding the officer that was the one shooting. And it was only revealed this week his name, but the superiors in that police department have denounced any wrongdoing on that officer's part.
Yes.
Yep.
So legally, it's going to be a problem. It's very similar to the Breonna Taylor situation in the sense that they are acknowledging the shooting, but no real wrongdoing, except Breonna Taylor's officer got fired, whereas in this case, they're absolutely denying any wrongdoing. So it looks like it's going to be an uphill battle from what I could see legally, if that's the stance that they're taking. But I really want to press upon the people that any actions that come into the favor of the victims that were shot, it really comes from the power of the people. So the pressure, although it may not guarantee the results that we are seeking, the pressure and the galvanizing and the national and global attention that we can bring as a people is monumental. So I really want to press upon the fact that this fight needs every one of us to fight alongside this fight.
Right. So I was reading that they said that the police officers fired tasers prior to shooting him. So it seems like that they're going to stand on the stance that they followed protocol and that they feared for their lives. I'm assuming because they thought that he was going into the car reaching for something, which was a knife or.
Yeah, and so specifically to the facts of the case, they're going, and then the legal reason they're going to use clearly is going to be that he didn't comply. And as we teach in our Know Your Rights trainings, as soon as they tell you what to do with your physical body and you don't comply to that order, they now have legal reason to take action and use force against you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what they're going to use to justify what he did.
Mm-hmm.
And then they are trained to empty out their clip once they start shooting, based upon their reasonable, fear of their life being in danger. Now that's going to be the hurdle for them, but that's the legal argument that they will be using. A, he didn't comply, so that gave them reason to use force. B, they used it because they were afraid of their life. And C, they have how they're training.
Okay. You're starting to cut out a little bit, but I think we got the gist of it.
So that's the legal argument.
So,
and C, yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm trying to figure out if it's my phone. But yeah, so I was saying that there's three factors: the non-compliance, the threats to their life, and is going to justify this action from a legal standpoint on their end.
Got it.
So my question is, they followed him to the vehicle, and he was already tased.
Well, what happened first? So from what we're understanding is that he was breaking up a fight. He was breaking up either a domestic dispute or a fight, correct?
Yes, it was two women from what we've seen that were fighting at a birthday party, and it's reported that he was trying to keep them separated, and then the police were called, and when they showed up, they didn't know the situation and thought that he was an assailant. And so from reports, they're saying that they ordered him to put his hands up and, succumb to the police. And he, was trying to explain that he's not the assailant.
Right.
So but he was like, it's pretty much like, dude, leave me alone. Like he's irritated by the fact that they're there to force him what to do and tell him what to do in a situation where he was not the assailant. So
right.
This is a common situation we see. And the type of not knowing the facts and coming in and just assuming is racist to begin with, because they're just not understanding. If that was like a white party, that just wouldn't have happened, period.
Not at all.
Whereas, yeah, exactly. So if that was like a white birthday party and the police showed up, it just would be, they would not tell anyone to put their hands up and, but that's speculation on my part. So I will, qualify that as my personal opinion.
Right.
But, yeah, it's
or history.
It just didn't have to go there. It just didn't have to go there.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So from my question was, so from the point of being tased, right, and him trying to get to
allegedly
tased.
Mm-hmm.
So this is and this is my argument. Yeah, go ahead.
And so from that point, from them following him to the car and allowing him to open the door, right? There wasn't there's no protocol to like apprehend him before he gets to the car, or you know what I'm saying? Because common sense, if I'm an officer and I'm tasing someone and they're going for their car, I'm tackling them. I'm not letting them open the door if I'm fearing for my life like that. Unless my presumption before I got there was I wanted to shoot this guy.
So so there's two ways I would like to answer this question. It's that it's so subjective. They do have protocols, but like I've said on your show before, that the de-escalation tactics that they're trained to learn is really not de-escalating anything at all. So right. They're allowed to use canine, they're allowed to use tasers, they're allowed to use batons, they're allowed to use weapons. When there's no compliance, they can use force, and if it results in serious injury or death, it will go back to their subjective belief of whether they're in danger. So right. They're allowed to use all of those things. Now, to prove excessive force is just about the hardest thing, other than maybe medical malpractice. Because excessive, where's that line being drawn? Things right. Like they have in their rules, you can't strike someone on the head with the baton. That is in the rules. But does it happen? And is it hard as hell to prove? Yeah, that's the kind of thing where it's just about a matter of what you prove. So yes, he was tased, and oftentimes in these cases where the perpetrator or the suspect or whoever they're thinking as a suspect is tased, physically their body convulses as a reaction. They call that non-compliance, and they've had canines put on people because once you're being tased, it's hard to comply because now you've been physically shocked.
Right.
And so that affects mentally and physically the inability now to comply with their physical orders, and for which they've used that as a basis for then using more force.
So there's no consideration for the reaction to the action, and it all ends
Exactly.
up as
Domino
non-compliant.
effect. Slippery slope
It's,
shit.
it's a snowball effect, really.
It's
Yeah.
and that's what I'm saying is
Yeah.
I would love to answer that question from like a practical, normal human standpoint, but it's simply not going to be applicable in this court system that we currently have, using the laws that currently exist in the books to justify the actions of, what is clearly, from a naked eye, very, very unjust.
Got it. So I'm going to ask this question, and then if you can just answer, what can the people do to help? I think you already kind of answered some of it, but just
Yeah.
kind of direct, because I think people want to start doing. I mean, we people have been wanting to do, but I think at this point people need direction on where to go because there's just too many different voices going on right now. How troubling, because there is obviously an election coming up right now. How troubling is it to hear that Joe Biden and his team are not ready to end qualified immunity? Because they've said that they want to reform it, they want to change it, but they have not said that they want to end it. So with all of this going on and it being in the news and saying that basically he's pandering to black people and to minorities about their vote, but yet is not willing to end qualified immunity, how troubling is that as far as the movement? Because
It's
obviously
very-
the laws are what enable these police officers to do what they're doing. So we need to attack that.
Yes. I'm not going to lie. It's very troubling. I'm going to say that the biggest thing out of this election that I'm the most worried about are the Supreme Court nominations. Those are lifelong terms on the bench, and we're going to lose two relatively liberal justices in the next 4 years. Ruth Bader Ginsburg is 90 years old with cancer, and Clarence Thomas is, I believe, 81 or 82. They're up there. They're hanging on by a thread. And Clarence Thomas, not being a liberal, but as of late, the last vote that he had was on the side of the more liberal side of the bench. So, but regardless of whether he's liberal or not, once he goes, that leaves up a second seat during the potentially the next administration, where they will then have the power to appoint two lifelong benches. And that's going to significantly impact our Supreme Court rulings, which, the court, which is that court that decides which cases they want to hear and not hear. So when we file these cases on behalf of Black Americans and civil rights and the rights of all of those oppressed in this country, first it goes all the way to the Supreme Court by fortune and the fact that we push hard and file those lawsuits. And then if and when it gets up to that level, they have the power to either hear it or not. They can reject it right there and then, and that'll be the end of that. Or if they do choose to hear it, then the second hurdle will be that they rule accordingly.
Right.
And if we get two conservative justices on that bench in the next 4 years, I don't know that I can handle it. And I mean, I can't even, I'm hanging on by a thread every day already as it is, and I'm not even Black. But if we get two more conservative justices on that bench that wants to, dismantle abortion and dismantle voting rights and dismantle any movement on the civil rights since 1963, I'm just probably going to say, what I've done so far is just going to have to be it, because it's going to be really hard to make it out of that.
Wow.
You said there's been no significant change since 1963?
No. She's saying that if they
Since.
vote,
Since.
if they
Yeah.
vote in conservative people that will be on the Supreme Court, that they can undo all the work that's been done since 1963.
Oh, I got you. So how long have those people been on the bench now? Because they're 90 years old and 82 years
I mean,
old.
they've
Lifelong.
they've been there their whole life. I mean, some of those people were appointed like back in 60s, during the Reagan era, and the a lot of the presidents that have come before
That's
us have appointed them,
crazy.
and they've been on there ever since.
That's
Right.
crazy.
I feel like that's what people aren't focusing
See,
on.
it's the deeper politics that we don't understand,
People
that,
ain't
that
paying
we don't
attention.
that we don't get to see.
And that's what I'm saying. I really want everyone to recognize that the elections are not even really anything. They're the puppets. That's the front show. The back
Facts.
show is what's going on, in the White House on these policies. Who's appointing whom to the White
Because you're using the word appointed. You're not talking about voting. You're talking about
Exactly.
appointments. You're saying that I like you for my views and for the way I want to run the country. So since our views align, I'm going to put you on this,
You know
in
what?
this position.
You know what's twisted? I'm gonna add another layer to that. It's not even sometimes that they like you. It's that they owe you a political favor, or they might have dirt on you that they could sell if you don't appoint them.
You be talking.
It's so twisted and complicated, and it has many this
That's bars.
Trump and Pence, they don't even, excuse my language, fuck with each other. They're not even cool like that. This is all arranged
Right.
for political reasons.
So what you're saying is there's a lot at stake during this voting election. This election that's coming up.
And you know what? I'm not even going to be get into the argument. If you've made up your mind to not vote, we're in California, so I'm not going to worry about you so much because the Electoral College is going to, get Biden and Kamala
It'll be blue
for this
anyway,
election.
right.
But if you're in a swing state, I'm just probably going to be purchasing a few plane tickets over to the swing states to do everything I can to get out the vote in those states because that's where it really counts. But I would like to urge that for those that are in California, if you want to make your vote count for something, then it should be to a third party, because each time that they get a vote in a state that where it doesn't matter, they get more funding for the next the election cycle. So if you want to put your vote to where it matters, then do that, because they get more funding, so that it gives at least any alternative party a fighting chance to stand against the Republican and the Democrat Party.
Okay.
And the other thing is, the elections that you should care about are local politics.
Yes.
Period.
So I'm not telling anyone to vote. I'm telling you to run for office. I am not going to be able to stress this enough. Everyone needs to run for office that care about civil rights, because that's how they're getting us. Because the politicians have all the control for all the budgets and all the funding and all the institutions in our local area and beyond. And they are banking on the fact that no one cares or knows enough to know what it takes to run for office. And if Trump can run for office and win without any qualifications as president, we definitely need our educated young black males to be sitting in those city council seats, those mayor seats, those supervisor seats, in the DA seats. I mean, if you're a lawyer and you're black, run for DA. If you're educated and black, run for city council. It doesn't matter your background. If you're educated and you know about enough and you care enough, we have a campaign team that's ready to train anyone who's, ready to run for office. And we need to get the word out from 18 and above, so that we create a pipeline and recruitment, so that we have our people in those seats.
Thank you.
Period.
Thank you for that information. That was bars.
That's
Yeah.
bars.
All right.
No,
now,
thank you for having me. Yeah.
Kyle Rittenhouse.
Oh yeah, man.
So I'm already seeing that they're already trying to do the not pipe dream, but they're already campaigning for the self-defense argument.
Over $100,000.
Uh-oh.
Over 100,000
That
Within-
is
it
for the
hasn't even been-
GoFundMe.
for his. Yeah.
Well, I think that they
So the
GoFundMe took it
GoFundMe-
down, though, right?
It's a Christian organization that raised over $100,000 since that's been. Yeah, and that's the thing is the emboldening of those that are cheering him on silently.
What kind of Christians are those?
Yeah.
The originals.
Huh?
The
White
originals.
Christians.
So you got a kid who comes from Illinois,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And his
Antioch,
Antioch,
Illinois.
and his mom's drives him up to go meet at the protest
Across state lines.
Across state
That's
lines
a federal crime.
with the AR-15.
So there's actually alleged that he actually got the gun somewhere else out there.
His mom was packing too, though.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you have and so the case is it's self-defense when you go to a different state to protect property that you have no personal or vested interest in, and you show up with the AR-15. The police watch you
Underage.
underage,
Yeah.
right? And the police watch you walk around with this assault rifle.
which they call a long gun.
A long gun.
heck?
That's a musket.
Assault rifle.
A musket and a rifle that you pack with goddamn gunpowder and a
The bayonet.
stick. That's
Yeah.
a
The
that's a
bayonet.
long gun. You guys, I hit him with the long gun. You feel me? But
Yeah.
so you have this scenario where you have all these illegal situations that are prerequisites to the murder, right?
Yeah.
To the 2 murders and the shooting of someone else who lost a bicep or an arm, and we're still discussing if he's a murderer or a vigilante, which is bananas to me.
Yeah.
And his mom hasn't been arrested, right? She's not been
His mom has
picked
not
up.
been arrested.
Not yet.
You know what's really messed up, you guys, is that so we looked up the definition militia, well-armed militias in the Constitution. That phrase verbatim. And militia really is defined by the Constitution as a 17 years old or older, organized or unorganized armed militia is defined as such, which means that in court legally, for us to argue that he committed a crime not protected by the Constitution, the fact that it's a hurdle at all is just
Disgusting.
beyond
Insane.
me.
It's
Yeah,
insane,
it's
right?
insane.
When you can see if you draw the narrative, I think I love politics. I love politics because of how it's structured, right? But then it
Okay.
makes you hate politics, and it makes you hate the judicial system and the justice system when we have to go through political bullshit to justify things that we can clearly see that are not that you understand what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So we're not going off of integrity, or we're not going off of morale, or we're not going off of principle. We're going off of legislative paperwork to defend someone that clearly went out with an intent to murder people.
Yeah,
Right.
and the fact that they can twist that and manipulate that to have any ground to stand
disgusting.
on is disgusting. Because anybody that's educated, or not even educated, but just with a rational mind, can read that and see how antiquated. I can't say this word.
I believe in you.
How old-fashioned and not updated to current times.
Right.
Because that was obviously, written at a time when 17 was maybe of age. People were going to the military fighting
Correct.
wars younger than that. So
But would he be
obviously that was
considered- would-
appropriate
would-
for that time. But for now, 17 is a minor. 17 is not old enough to form,
You can be a one-man militia.
any real opinion about what you're actually doing as a well-armed militia, for whatever your justifications may be.
Uh-oh.
She lost that reception.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask her about the premeditated aspect, because if it was a regular street crime, right,
Right.
they would say it's premeditated.
I don't think you can prove that it's premeditated.
Well, how can you not?
Because
He
he didn't
drove
go
from-
specifically there to kill those specific people.
He went there to kill somebody.
We don't know that.
How do you? Okay,
How
you
can
just
you
walking
prove
around with an AR-15.
He said he was protecting property.
What
But
property?
whose?
It
He
ain't
was
yours.
protecting. He was
It's
protecting.
not his.
I know, but you're
he
saying
get hired to
premeditated
protect
murder. How can you prove that? How can you prove that it's premeditated
How
murder?
can you prove that he was protecting any property?
Because he went there with the AR-15 and he was cleaning up the graffiti and stuff off the
Come
walls.
on, bro. We know
So?
what it looks like when somebody puts a mask on.
Okay, if you don't have text messages or something that proves that he was going to
It's,
actually
it's about what you can prove. It's
Yeah,
not
it's
about
not what
what.
you- it's not what we think.
What seems logical.
I think he was going down there ready to kill. I don't think he went down there specifically to kill.
Your call has been forwarded to an automated voice messaging.
The battery must
So
have
we'll see
died.
if she'll call us back. But the thing that I don't understand is we're only seeing one video, or I've seen maybe 2 videos.
I think I've
where
seen a couple.
where he's running and trips, and then the guys try to basically take the gun from him. He shoots the gentleman that had the skateboard, and then he shoots somebody else. So, but there was 3 people that he shot. So from what I'm hearing, or what I'm seeing, or what just my common sense is saying, is that they were saying that he had shot somebody
Oh,
before
she's
that.
gonna call back. She just
And
texted
then
me.
they were trying to stop.
They were trying to stop him.
Yeah.
So how is it self-defense if they're trying to stop you because you shot somebody?
Yeah.
So Kim, thank you for calling us back. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
I think what we're trying to understand, just from the understanding of what the events were. So just from my human eye, this is what I saw from the Kyle Rittenhouse, right? So in the video that's most famous that we're all seeing, he's being chased.
It's
He
notorious.
trips, and then he shoots 2 people, right? He shoots the gentleman that had the skateboard, and then he shoots somebody else. I'm going to pull up their
He
names
shot
right now.
someone in the face. There was, I think, 5 shots. One was in the back. So it's unclear exactly the sequence, but that was the first shot. And then the guy with the skateboard came up to try to protect and stop that man, or stop Kyle, the boy.
Right. And that was Anthony. So that was Anthony Huber,
that's
the
the one
one
that's
that
been
had
going
the
on.
skateboard. So from my understanding is the video where he is tripping was after he had shot the gentleman in the face.
Right.
So they were trying to stop him and grab the gun from him.
Yes.
And then that's when he fell. That's where he
Yep.
shot Anthony Huber. And then
Yep.
he went on to shoot. There's 2 more victims. I believe it was Gaige Grosskreutz was the one he shot in the arm.
Yes.
So how is it self-defense if the people that he shot were trying to stop him from shooting more people because he had shot somebody in the face previously? And I believe the gentleman that he shot in the face is Joseph Rosenbaum.
Yes.
So is that an accurate? Is kind of what the events seem like they are, or we're still kind of trying to figure out the pieces in the events?
Right, because
We're still piecing out the events. I'm not going to trust what the media states because it may slightly vary or significantly vary from the actual complaint. So the county clerk of courts that released that complaint does identify those 3 people, but there may be more facts added because there's still an ongoing investigation, and complaints usually get filed for timing purposes, and then we add more facts. So it's still developing from what I understand, since it's so recent.
What's up with the eyewitnesses, though? Like, there's got to be
Yeah, that's what I'm
witnesses who
saying.
say anything, and are they
Yeah,
going to
there's-
even use what
Yeah,
they're saying?
there's a lot of witnesses. Some people come forward, and then they recant their statements. So a lot of the facts surrounding this case is developing.
Okay. So from
Yeah.
your legal standpoint,
Mm-hmm.
let's just say for what we know,
Yeah.
could he potentially have a strong case for self-defense if that video that we seen is accurate, where
It's
they
not.
were
It's the biggest legal factor here is going to be the fact that he had those weapons. He crossed state lines with an intent.
Mhm.
So how are you going to allege self-defense
And-
when
Yep.
you've shown motive by premeditated planning to carry and bring those weapons across state lines?
right. So, but it's not premeditated murder. It was
No, it's-
premeditated.
No.
He was
no,
going
the
to use
assault.
it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, but that's what you were saying. You were saying murder, though.
No, I'm not saying it was.
Oh, no, I
I'm saying
shouldn't
the
have
whole
used-
action.
No,
of-
Ken, not. I'm
No,
not
we
you. I'm
we
sorry.
had we
Ronnie,
talked off. Yeah, we talked
me and-
offline.
Me and Raggio had a conversation while we were trying to reconnect with you. That he was saying that it could potentially be premeditated murder, but you meant
No,
premeditated assault.
What I meant was not that it was premeditated murder, but I
Right.
wanted to see how they could build a case when it's clear that it was premeditated, not the murder
Listen,
in itself, but the steps leading up to it seemed like it was premeditated.
Yeah.
The murder was the resulting cause, but for us,
He got charged with murder. So
he should.
He got charged with first-degree murder, correct? And
right,
then-
and so the elements are that premeditated is first degree. So that they're gonna factor in the fact that he carried weapons over state lines.
What about his
to be
mom?
premeditated.
What about his mom?
And
What?
his mom, she's an accomplice to the carrying out of a felony, which makes her an accomplice, which makes her
First-degree
equally
murder, right?
liable. Yeah, felony murder that's how that works. If you come with the intent to commit a felony and a killing results, then you will be guilty of murder.
So the felony occurred. So they're not even just the taking of the consideration of giving a weapon to a minor, right? That's a charge, and him having an illegal firearm.
Yeah, it'll
and
be
using it.
conspiracy. It'll be felony murder, conspiracy. It's conspiracy being a whole completely separate charge, and then because it's 2 or more people to conspire to commit a crime, and any acts that are taken, even just 1 or 2 steps, even in preparation, and taking the first step, that proves the conspiracy portion of it, and then as an accomplice to a felony murder, you will be charged the same amount. Sometimes even though they get sentenced more if you're not the one who talks.
She should be sentenced more.
Had they figure out who the gun is registered to?
Yeah.
So they did, or
sorry?
did they figure out who the gun is registered to?
No. So that's another part of the, they're saying that the gun didn't belong to him. So they're tracking that. It's been 6 days since the Jacob Blake shooting, and even less for his case. So
Right.
that there's a lot of facts
Everything's
that we're still,
fresh. Right.
yeah,
Right.
everything's really,
Right. So
yeah.
he was charged with first degree intentional homicide, and
Mm-hmm.
then prosecutors have also filed charges against him for adding 1 count of reckless homicide, a count for attempted intentional homicide, and 2 counts for recklessly endangering safety. So
Yep.
those charges were just filed on Thursday. So it seems like that there's a lot going on. I'm trying to think on if I were playing chess on their defense side. I'm assuming they're going to argue that he crossed state lines with the AR-15 because he was going there to protect property, and he was going to there to protect his life. So it was a self-defense. That seemed like that's the argument.
That's not his job.
That doesn't work.
That's not his job.
It's
I'm
legally
saying
flawed.
from their standpoint.
No, I get it,
I
but-
know.
I
But
know,
we all know that it doesn't make sense. What
I-
I'm saying,
I know.
but legally, because
that's what they're gonna try.
Well, and you have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt, right? That's the prosecutor's job, is to prove that.
Well, the proof
and I
is
think that we
the
talked.
proof is he's not a police
Well,
officer and
but-
or soldier and or an appointment of the government
right.
to be
So
out there.
so, but I
And
know
he's a
last
minor.
episode that we had. Kim, I know you were saying that that's why prosecutors sometimes are a little hesitant to go first degree murder, because that's more difficult to prove. So then they end up going for the sure bet. So
Right.
with the files being, or the charges being filed so quickly, does that leave room where you can see that maybe this may be overturned, where there is no first degree murder?
Yeah, you see, I'm glad you brought that up, because I was going to comment on that, on how the strategies somehow seem to shift, right? Because they're talking about, we're just going to charge second degree because we just really want to make sure we get it. Oh, but in this case, it's funny how you just went gung-ho with the first degree, because
Right
are
off
you
the bat.
sure you're going to
You know-
land on
That's
that?
kinda
You know why?
shaky.
You know why? Because he's not a police officer. That's why. Because it's the intent to me. If I'm a rational person and I'm in Kenosha and I'm trying to get peace back into my county, I'm charging him because I don't want any more riots. I don't want any buildings burned down.
No, but see, and you're
But then you
speaking
let him
it.
go. Sometimes
What
I
it
feel like they
is
overcharge on purpose.
It serves two purposes, two results that favor them. It's you go for the worst charge, which has the higher chance of it being overturned. Secondly, you look good to the media and to the people that's on your side, because, or to everybody that's on the other side for them, because it looks like you're doing something that's good, when really you know that it's it may get overturned, or probably will get overturned. So
Right.
it's a double double whammy for them, because it's all around good no matter what they do. Like if they charge all the way first degree, makes the activist community happy,
Right.
just for it to be
To regain that control
Yeah.
and that peace.
right for now. But that's a temporary thing, and then as it goes down the line in the trial process, whatever the result is, they're going to blame it on the jury. They're going to blame it on facts of the case being weak, and they'll just be absolved of any liability. And that's the kind of sick game that we see over and over again everywhere. So good for you guys for bringing light and truth to this case, and to Jacob Blake's case, because people just are not knowing of the little nuances in these cases that people really need to be paying attention to.
All right.
Same.
We're gonna
Same.
we're gonna let you go because we're trying to get to some positive things. So
Yeah.
really quick, because we don't want to lose sight of the bigger picture. So what can we do? And we're still waiting on Breonna Taylor's killers to be arrested, to be prosecuted.
Please, God.
And it's been
Dang.
what, like 3 months?
Right.
Yeah.
2 days after George Floyd.
Yeah. So what can the people do right now? Can we call?
Right.
Can we?
Yeah, it's election season. So pay attention to the call to actions surrounding who to vote for, what policies, initiatives, and ballot measures to be voting for, because it affects the funding. Funding is one of the biggest ways in which we can shut down things like ICE contracts, and more funding for jails, and the police departments. Defund, as much as that slogan is being thrown around as a negative thing, really it's just about reallocating funds. So that's the power that we have. And then also, as I hope we all saw that after George Floyd, things started dying down a little bit. And then this happened. So let's stay on our toes. I mean, we've been here fighting this fight, decade after decade. It comes and goes. But as soon as we get complacent or we forget or we allow the fire to die down, that's when they creep back up and do what they do. So we got to stay on that pressure. So anytime you feel like, okay, it's dying down a little bit, bring it back before a life is taken.
Facts.
We have to keep fighting.
It's crazy, man, that we got to keep revisiting this over and over and over again. The one good thing that's coming out of this is now we're becoming educated on how the judicial process works and how the legal side works, and we're starting to have these conversations, and we're beginning to understand why they've been able to carry out these things for so long.
Bamboozle us.
Yeah,
for so
I mean,
long.
because,
All these loopholes
right?
and shit.
There's like, yeah, exactly, like you said, there's so many loopholes. It's I can give you this because on the back end of this we can get out here, right? We can do this because on the back end of this we can move this over here, and we can say this and we can prove this. So it's kind of bananas, man, when you think about how the pockets and the profiting of financial gain is more important than the safety or the common sense of what murder is. You know what I mean? Murder is murder, and it sucks to have to
what
go
else do you need to see? It's crazy to me.
to have it on video.
Yeah, like you can see it. Like you don't see this video. Like this is clear as day.
Yeah.
But,
Now, body
You know what's
cams are
crazy?
sort of the same
You know what's
thing, and
crazy,
nothing
Kim?
changed.
That was crazy that I can get. I've been in situations where I've been called in to be a witness against someone, right?
Yeah.
And if I had have told, even on my own case when I went to jail, they asked me for names of people, right?
Oh yeah, always.
Right, and then if I would have gave them names and I would have told them a story without video evidence that I was working with that person, they would have arrested that person.
Yep.
And they would have
That's
put him
what
in
I'm
jail,
saying.
right? And
That's
now that we
it.
have video cameras all over the place, body cams, cell phone cams, traffic cams, liquor store cams, and we can see these murders clear as fucking day, we can't get fair judgments for them. But if I'm in a room snitching on my brother, right, they're taking him to jail and giving him the same time.
Yep.
Yeah,
That
because
shit's
it checks
bananas
out on
to me.
paper. Because it means that they don't care about the outcome of the case. They just care. They don't care about whose lives they're, unfairly ruining. They're getting it on paper. You have a statement. That
But
covers
it's
that.
inconsistencies. I can sit there and lie to you, and then you'll charge my brother for something that I lied about or made something up without the proof, so you can close the case and you can get me in jail and put us in prison and make a profit off of it. But when it comes to shit like looking at Kyle Rittenhouse, where we can clearly fucking see that he's out there for blood, right? Now we
Yeah.
have to go through a whole prosecution process. I'm glad they charged him right away, but we know the motives. You know what I mean? But now the other side is he's making $100,000, right? He's raised
Yeah.
$100,000 from organizations.
Well, I
He
think
had a
GoFundMe took that down.
Yeah,
and I
but it
don't
was
think that
another.
they're
It's a
gonna-
separate organization.
Oh,
that he raised
separate
another
outside of that.
$100,000.
Okay,
Yeah.
well,
But
you know,
listen, yeah, go ahead.
no, go ahead, Kim.
Oh, I was just gonna say that I just want everyone to also be careful because this kind of thing, what they do is they martyr him. They,
Call
kind
him a
of
hero.
revere him as a hero, and it's definitely caused a lot of people, Proud Boys, Boogaloo Boys, white supremacist groups are emboldened during times like this where they feel like they have to go out and represent for people like Kyle Rittenhouse. So
been
it
involved
just
for the past
it
4
just
years.
it intensifies the danger in the streets right now. And so just to be mindful of your surroundings is really an important thing that I just want everyone to remember.
Absolutely.
But on a positive note, though, we've got the NBA and major
Correct.
sports coming out. We had that talk last time, so see how
She
in
got into it.
90-something days that has taken a turn. So
Okay. Golly.
They hating on us.
She has
Hating on
she
us.
has an
Hating
iPhone, by
on
the
us.
way.
All right. So
It's his phone. That's the problem.
no, it ain't.
We ain't never dropped a
Our
call
phone works
here.
all the time.
Right.
Whatever.
All right. So
Damn, man, that just kind of made me mad. Just really thinking about how we have all these videos, and then hey, we need a testimony against this guy. We need a testimony against that guy.
They'll offer you
Right, less time.
If
Less
you give
time.
less time if you give some names. So
Even if it's
how
not
often
true.
Do you think? Thank you. How often do you think niggas just give names?
Right. Even if it's not true. And then we got video after video after video after video.
well,
right?
but in those situations, we also have to take into consideration that you have a public defender usually in those situations. These situations, they have lawyers that are getting paid thousands of dollars at the minute. Like it's not even
but it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be based on the legality of what's going on.
But it's not a legality.
It is. If you take a life, you take a life.
It's not a legality.
You have to go through
it's
the
lawyer.
procedure.
If that person that you were snitching on had a high-priced lawyer, then he would be more inclined to fight
I'm saying beyond that though. When you watch somebody murder somebody, they murdered somebody. I don't care what the lawyer fucking says. If I'm looking at a fucking murder and you're looking at the same murder and you're looking at the same murder and everybody in this room looking at the same murder, it's fucking murder.
Right, but
it doesn't.
But we're talking about
by intention. So you still have to have somebody advocate. We're not justifying what he did. What I'm saying is though, it's the same thing like where there's the legal, there's different. If somebody breaks into your house and they turn their back and they're running out of the house after they broke into your house and you kill them, then that's different from them coming into the house and they're face to face with you and you shoot them because you're scared, right? So murder is murder, but there's different.
If you come in my house and you rob me and you try to run out this bitch with my shit, I'm shooting you front
and then
or back.
you're going to prison because the legality of that is if they're escaping and you chase them and you shoot them, that's different than you being in immediate danger.
It's no longer self-defense.
So that just lets all the other cops who've done all that shooting black people who were running. Same thing?
No, cops are on a totally different.
They get
right?
what is the qualified immunity?
Qualified immunity.
But this is what I'm talking about. All the inconsistencies.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's the one thing that we were just talking about is every time we talk to Kim, we get to understand how inconsistent this shit is, bro. And basically, whoever has the most money wins. That's
why I was saying a public defender and a lawyer that you're paying for, you're going to get two totally different results.
But
right, because a public defender might have 50 other cases, and he's just telling you like, look, here's the deal, take the deal, because if you don't, you're gonna end up losing.
They not all like that.
Not all of them,
I know some public defenders.
But for our community,
public defenders is out there eating lunch with the DA. That's all I got.
Well, and they're and I'm sure there's other cases. I'm sure there are public defenders that do care. But what I'm saying is that when your workload is so piled up, you don't have the time to sit down and go through somebody's case like how somebody.
They're sitting down in that lunchroom talking about how are we going to close this case together. I know. I've been to court and on trial many times.
I watch Law and Order.
I'm just.
They all know each other. They all going out to drink. Come on now.
But when you have a private attorney. When you have a private attorney, you can kind of bypass those personal relationships of just trying to get shit done. Right. So I do understand what you're saying, but what I'm saying is let's call a murder a murder. You know what I'm saying?
Right, but not all murder is equal, though. I
understand what you're saying. Yeah. I totally
in the eyes of the law. At the end of the day, murder is murder. But in the eyes of the law, there's different.
But that's what I'm saying though. There is murder. Right, but then there's murder 1, 2, and 3rd degree. You know what I'm saying? When you're talking about the punishment for the murder, and then there's manslaughter, and there's you know what I'm saying? And then there's So I understand those things, but what I'm saying is if we're watching a video of a person pull a gun out and shoot another person, is that murder or no?
Yeah.
Well, it depends.
It does depend.
No, it depends on what level.
It's going to come down to.
Yeah, but it's still murder. No, I agree.
Yeah, what's going to come down to is going to be pretty much, it's not what you know, it's what you can prove in court type shit.
And it's the intent, right? Which you got to prove.
Guess what?
Right.
It's trash as fuck. That might be my whole segment today.
All right.
Let's go.